Okay, I'm going to walk you through TPCAST for the poem Nothing Gold Can Stay. So this is in chapter 5 of The Outsiders. But once you've done the process of TPCAST, the hope is that you can use this strategy on any poem as well as nonfiction and fiction. You can just adapt it a little bit. And it's a great strategy to use for those things too. So, of course, TPCAST, hopefully you know what it means, and if not, you might want to refer to some of the materials or look it up. But it is a strategy that we use to make sure that when we're analyzing text, we're actually looking at all the different parts that we should be looking at. So the first thing is title. Before you read the poem, look at the title and make a prediction about what you think that poem or text is going to be about. So our prediction for Nothing Gold Can Stay might be something like nothing can stay forever, nothing good ever lasts, or something like money doesn't grow on trees. So if nothing gold can stay, it reminds us of that saying maybe a little bit. Okay, so we've made a prediction about our title, and we would circle the title and write our prediction next to it if we were annotating on the actual poem. The second step is to read the poem. So here it is. Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf. So Eden sank to grief. So dawn goes down to day. Nothing gold can stay. Our next step takes probably the longest is paraphrasing. And paraphrasing means that we're going to look at the literal meaning, what the meaning that's on the paper, and we're going to try to put it into our own words. So line by line, or sometimes we may chunk things into stanzas or paragraphs or sections, but we're going to try to think about the text that we're working with and put it into our own words. So here we go. Nature's first green is gold. Okay, so nature in spring gives the brightest green. Her hardest hue to hold. So if you can't hold that hue, and we may need to look up the word hue, and hue means color. So I think they're saying the green doesn't stay green for too long. Her early leaf's a flower. So spring gives us our first flowers. Before we have leaves and stuff, we get those budding flowers, but only so an hour. Okay, so we know it doesn't last too long. Okay, so the next part of the poem says, then leaf subsides to leaf. Again, subsides is a word that we might have to look up. Then, leaf goes on over to another leaf. The leaf, or maybe the leaves merely just stay leaves. So a flower may become a leaf or turn into a leaf like on a tree, but once it's a leaf, it stays a leaf or just be another leaf. So Eden sank to grief. So just like Eden was overcome with sadness, and Eden hopefully sparks, that's kind of a Christian, it's in the Bible, the Garden of Eden. So that's an allusion to a biblical allusion to something in the Bible. Okay, so dawn goes down today. Okay, just like sunrise merely becomes a day, nothing gold can stay. So nothing amazing is going to last. Okay, so that's a paraphrase, and yours may be a little bit different, but that's us taking line by line and making our best guess of what are they talking about in that line. So TPCAST, our next is the C, and that's connotation. And connotation is where we're looking at all of those literary elements to see. And there's a lot, even though this poem's really short, got a lot of literary elements. So let's go through them. First, alliteration. It's that repeated sound. So we have her hardest hue to hold. So this whole line, her hardest hue to hold, other than the two, is alliteration. And alliteration is going to catch our attention. It's going to give us our vivid descriptions, and it helps with the flow. Next, personification. So nature's first screen is hold, her hardest cue to hold. So her is personifying nature. Nature's not really a boy or a girl, but we usually say Mother Nature, so we personify nature. This makes it interesting, gives like a feeling to nature. We get more of a personality for nature. Rhyme is next, and we have our rhyme scheme: gold, hold, flower, hour, leaf, grief, day, stay. So we want to kind of look at rhyme anytime that you have a poem. It may not rhyme, but if it does, how does it rhyme, and how does that impact the poem? Here you have each sentence ends at the end of a line. Sometimes you may have the end of a sentence just in the middle of a line. And so that makes it different too. So that's something to look at. Imagery, and I put these in green. There's a lot of words that just kind of evoke an image. We can see, you can picture in your mind a leaf. Something sank. We can picture something sinking. We can picture the dawn. So that imagery helps to paint that picture in our mind. Okay, so there's a lot going on, even though this is a really short poem. Next is attitude. Okay, so our A, attitude or tone. So first we look for the words, positive or negative. And so I've pulled out some words: hardest, and so, subsides, grief, goes down, nothing can stay. So I would say a lot of these words are negative. And as I get into it a little bit more, I would say the attitude is gloomy because it points out nothing good ever lasts. Okay, what is the poem saying? It's saying nothing good ever lasts. The author feels that humans should accept the fact that nothing good is ever going to last. We should just accept it. All right, so our next is going to be shifts, how the poem changes. And we look for but, then, so. Okay, words like that show the change. So if we go back, we have a but, only so an hour, then, this is what happens next, so, Eden sick to grief, so, dawn goes down today. So there are definitely some shifts in the poem and changes which kind of show us cause and effect. As we move into title, now we have a better idea. Nothing gold can stay. Really, this is the first line of a poem. If a poem doesn't have a title, you just use the first line, and it's usually referred to as the first line. So our meaning, now that we've read it and we understand it, is that seasons are changing, beauty and time changes form. Beauty can't stay forever. Seasons change, just like people's idea of beauty. So everything changes. And finally, the last is theme. The moral of the story is, if you've heard me say that, when I have a hard time thinking of the theme, I always think, and the moral of the story is, be thankful for what you have. It won't last long. Or maybe some moments in our lives have beauty while others are dull. Or maybe even, like the seasons, beauty will come and go. So hopefully that gives you a little idea of how to TPCast this poem or any poem. And so I will post this to help you, as kind of guide you through as you're doing TPCast.